The first item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of the April 12th, 2016 regular meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move item 1.
Second. I have a motion and a second on the minutes.
Mr. Chairman, there is one slight correction to those minutes, I believe. On the next to last paragraph, where it talks about moved by Fletcher and seconded by Dickfather, adopt the following resolution, I voted no. It's reported as carried unanimously.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Do you have the changes, Carol?
Was so correct.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments on the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Item number 2, to receive and place on file drainage repairs. We have a few this morning. Drainage District number 195, main tile, Deer Creek section 20. We have a blowout in the tile line, same place as last year, turned in by Mike Hittner.
Mark, the Drainage District, yeah.
Drainage District 195, main tile. Drainage District number 208, Elkhorn section 6, broken tile line, turned in by Gary Schwimmer. Drainage District number 57, lateral number 2, Cooper section 2, blowout north of the railroad tracks, turned in by John Gaylor Jr.
Chairman, I'll move the drainage repair.
I'll second his motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion and a second. Any questions on the drainage repairs? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 3, receive and place on file annual salary increase for Scott Forbes, Emergency Management Coordinator, from $45,100 to $50,600, effective May 1st, 2016, per Emergency Management Commission.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move item number 3 as read.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Is Jim here to explain that?
I'll just say Mr. Forbes is at some type of emergency meeting with public health on that today, so that's why he's not here. Normally, we ask the department to answer people to be here when there's any pay increases, of course, and then, of course, this is not for our approval, it's just a place on file because his commission sets us out.
Some 1-year stuff.
This is a step increase, yeah. This is a step increase for him. When we hired him, we reduced his compensation by approximately the $5,000 until he received some education, and basically we knew that he was going to work out and be good, and we told him that after a year's period we would put that compensation on basically as a step. So.
Any other questions? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 4, approve seasonal employment of Adam Moding, Park Ranger intern, and Taylor Chancellor, Park Ranger intern, both at a rate of $10 per hour, effective May 16, 2016, for recommendation of Conservation Board.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve the employment of the Park Ranger interns.
I'll second. Motion and second. Matt, you want to share what that, where they at?
Sure. These are seasonal employees that we hire annually to help us out, usually for like a 12-week period. Most of the time we try to hire somebody in the conservation field. Adam Boding, we're fortunate that he's coming back to work for us this year. It's nice to have somebody return so we don't have to train them, but they help out. We try to get them experience. Most college degrees require some sort of an internship as part of their 4-year degree, so they help us out and work with park rangers to either decide this is the path for them or it's not.
All right. Any questions or comments from the floor? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5, approve employment of Joanne Heffling, office manager, at a salary of $31,000, effective May 2nd, 2016, per recommendation of Conservation Board.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move item 5.
Second.
Motion and a second. Matt?
I would just say thank you to the board for letting us fill this position, replacing a secretary position that we've had vacant since last July. So staff is very much looking forward to getting this person on board, especially now we're heavy into the rec and shelter rental season. So appreciate you letting us move forward with this process.
Questions from the floor?
Campground's open yet, or?
Campground opened Kennedy on Friday, so 8 a.m. and they started lining up at 6 a.m. Had probably 15 vehicles there in line ready to get in. So it was busy, probably 3/4 full this last weekend.
They can only be there for 2 weeks or something, they have to move, or what's the deal?
So Iowa state law requires between Memorial Day and Labor Day that campers can only stay at a public campground for 2 weeks. So up until Memorial Day, they can stay as long as they want, and then that 2-week limit kicks in at that point, runs through Labor Day, and then again lose the 2-week limit after Labor Day till October 15th when the campground closes.
How long will it be, do you think, before we can call in and/or go online and make a reservation out there?
That's a good question. I hope soon. So that'll be one of the first processes once we get Ms. Heffley on board, is to get up to speed and then to start working that process to be able to make shelter reservations, cabin reservations, and some camping reservations on mycountyparks.com. So there's probably 8 to 10 counties right now that are offering that system, reservation system currently.
The Waitree Park campground.
OHV campground, the water line was put in recently. The campground restroom is supposed to be put in this week. See, weather dependent, it looks like a little bit. And then the main thing that's been hanging that up is the septic system for the park. As you know, we've been looking at a lot of different options for permitting and that sort of thing. We've decided that the only viable option is to run a force main system back to Fort Dodge. So that's what we're working on right now. They're finishing up the design, and actually the engineers are supposed to be here Thursday to work through that process. It's tied to a lot of federal and state money, is the majority of the money that's paying for that system. So it has, you know, these 30-day windows of things that need to occur. So even if we can get the design ready to go, we still have to meet the Natural Resource Commission deadlines and all that sort of thing to get it through the DOT process is where the funding comes from. So we're probably still looking at an August time frame to try to get that in and up and running. That'll be the last piece to get that fully functional.
So even though you have a camper with a bathroom and stuff, you still won't be able to stay there?
Right, we've got a handful of things that we need to get finished, and then you're gonna have, you know, a lot of, so you'll have water line run into a building that doesn't have any sewer and all that sort of thing. We still have to fence in the campground too this summer so that there's just access points to and from instead of just wide open for safety issues. So a handful of things that need to occur this summer as well.
Yeah. Okay, back to the original motion. Joanne Heffley.
Sorry, I didn't mean to hijack.
$32,000. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Apparently I need to come in and give you some updates.
We had a nice crowd here, I thought you could let everybody in, what's going on?
Item number 6, to receive and place on file recorder's report of fees collected for a period ending March 31st, 2016.
Mr. Chairman, I move item 6.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion and a second. Lindsay?
All right, Lindsay Beckman, Webster County Recorder. Just want to take an opportunity to give a breakdown of our fees collected. In our recording and Xerox copies, we brought in $26,405.90. Our document stamps, which is our revenue stamps, transfer fees, our hunting and fishing licenses, and both snowmobiles and ATVs, registration fees, as well as our ATV plates that we have here in Webster County. That brought in $15,333. And then our vital records, we brought in $3,784, giving us a grand total of $45,522.90. Any questions from me?
Questions from the floor? Questions from the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 7, accept the law enforcement center courtroom remodeling project as fully complete and establish April 19, 2016 as a date of acceptance.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Aye. Mr. Chairman, I believe this has been requested to be tabled. I'm sorry, we were oversigning checks this morning. But there's been some change orders that have come in afterwards, after this was received, and it's been requested by the auditor that this can be tabled.
consultation or public hearing on proposed amendment number 4 to the Webster County Region Urban Renewal Plan in Webster County, state of Iowa, and there is a copy on file.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we adopt a resolution and set the dates for consultation and public hearing for amendment number 4 for Webster County's ag industrial park. Or Iowa's Crossroads Global Innovation.
Have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution, and what was the dates? Do we have those, Carol?
Yeah, the public hearing will be May 17th. And the date for the consultation will be the 26th. The resolution,
27th, I think.
26th.
Okay. So I have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution and set the dates of May 17th and May 27th for consultation and public hearing. Do I have any comments or questions from the floor? Any from the table? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 9, approve and authorize chair to sign supplemental agreement number 2 with Calhoun Burns and Associates for additional final design services on bridge replacement project FM-C094104-55-94 on 210th Street, which is over Gibson Creek, and on extension of 15th Avenue South between sections 28 and 33, Township 89 North, Range 28 West, Cooper Township.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move item 9.
Second.
Motion and a second, Randy?
Okay, this project's been kind of in ongoing stages for a few years now, and it's completely outside the city limits. However, we are working with City of Fort Dodge and the Trails groups to also, the part of the design will incorporate replacing the bridge. Along the south side of the bridge will be a 10-foot sidewalk trail, and that requires some special design work, and so that's why we need to retain a consultant, Calvin Burns and Associates. We've also had quite a bit of discussions and meetings with utilities, working with USG and Mid-American and the Trails people, so we're getting all that coordinated. It's finally coming to to a head here. I think we'll have the project let in the next few months, maybe about 3 months from now, August or September letting. And so we need to complete the final design, get it submitted to the DOT, and then it'll be let at the DOT. It'll utilize farm market funds, the county's designated farm market funds. And I would anticipate a completion date of 2017.
So that sidewalk will be a bike trail too?
Yes, yes. And then as part of the master plan, eventually there'll be a network of trails that will go along the south side of 210th and the extension of 15th Avenue South. And Matt might be versed on talking about that if you want. So.
Any other questions for Randy? Any other questions from the floor? If not, I have a motion and a second to approve and authorize the chair to sign the supplemental agreement number 2. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 10, approve and authorize the chair to sign a permit with Dave Dowdy to pave entrance at 2666 190th Street, Fort Dodge, Iowa.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move item 10.
Second motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Randy?
Just if you do any work in the right of way, we need a permit. The person has applied for one and everything, ordered. So I recommend you approve the permit.
We don't assume the liability for that driveway after you got on
The language in the permit spells things out, and we reserve the right to, if we need to do any, direct them to do something, make modify, take it out. It's quite a few people have paved driveways. Some of the people apply for a permit.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item 10 carries. Item number 11, approve and authorize chair to sign utility permit from Cloud USA telecommunications services to vary their existing overhead utilities along the north side of 200th Street on both sides of Sampson Avenue in Section 24, Township 89 North, Range 28 West, Cooper Township, and in Section 18, Township 89 North, Range 27 West, Colfax Township.
Chairman, I'll move item number 11, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Motion and a second, Randy?
Yeah, again, they submitted all their documents, drawings, and then, again, they will bore under paved route at Sampson Avenue. We also call it T63, and it's, I think, the overall length of, they're going from one pedestal to the other, it's 450 feet. So pretty straightforward.
Any questions from the floor? Any from the board? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Item 11 carries. Item number 12 is the Community Health Center to discuss their 10th anniversary community involvement and expansion project.
Hello, I'm Renee Kruppenberg, the CEO of Community Health Center. First, I'd just like to say thank you for the opportunity to present our information to you guys and let you ask any questions that you may have. We're what's called a federally qualified health center, so we get about a third of our operating budget from the federal government. And our primary focus is to subsidize care for people who either don't have insurance or maybe they have insurance, but they have a high deductible or high out-of-pocket expenses. So we're able to subsidize the care for them based on a sliding fee scale, based on their income and household size. So we also have a great partnership with United Way. This is the 4th year that if a patient can't pay their nominal fee, that they can take that voucher to public health, and public health will evaluate them for any additional services that they need, and then they give that voucher to United Way, and United Way will pay their nominal fee. So some people don't even have to pay anything to be able to come to our clinic. It's our 10th anniversary. It started about 15, 18 years ago in basements of churches and different things, providing care on a volunteer basis. Different physicians and nursing staff would volunteer to take care of patients. And then we did get our federal funding 10 years ago, so we're very excited about that. And then also we did just get more funding from the federal government to expand our clinic. So we own the old Joslin printing building, so we're expanding into that. We are going from 11 exam rooms to 21 exam rooms, and from 4 dental operatories to 8 dental operatories. So we're almost doubling the capacity of the amount of patients that we can serve and the amount of services that we can offer. We have medical and dental, and then just this month we also added behavioral mental health services. So that's been getting up and running pretty quickly here in the last few weeks, and her schedule is getting busy already, so that's kind of us in a nutshell. On the back page of the big handout, there's pictures of what our renovation is expected to look like. Allers Architects is who we're working with, and they gave us some renderings of potential views of from the lobby one way, from the lobby the other way, and then the entire building from the outside.
Any questions from the board? Any questions or comments from the floor for the Community Health Clinic? Thank you very much.
Thank you guys.
Appreciate you coming.
Thanks.
Next item on the agenda is citizens' opportunity to address the board with items not on the agenda. I do have one thing. We received a petition that I want to receive and put on file. It's a petition to reopen the east fork of National Avenue at junction of D14 and North 7th Street. We, the citizens who live and work in Fort Dodge and Webster County, hereby ask that the Webster County Board of Supervisors rescind their vote to close the road in question. Close the road in question and reopen it so we may continue to use it daily. We feel the action of the board did not take into account the will of the majority that used this road or give adequate time for the citizens to respond to this proposal and ask them to reconsider. I'm going to give this to the auditor so she can receive and place that on file. Then I will open this up to questions and comments from the floor.
Motion to 2835 North 7th Street. I live down the river valley there, and I would just humbly ask you to reconsider the decision on that road north of our, we're these people live down the river valley, since there is so much usage of it. I would appreciate if we would have more time and opportunity to discuss this. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bill.
Hi, I'm Tom Heeman. I live at 740 Miller Drive for 38 years now, and that portion of the road has been continuously used by myself in order to transit over to North 15th Street to get my son who lives in Village Green Trailer Court, Lakeside Golf Court, or wherever. The road is not in a deteriorating effect, and I feel that it should remain open because I used to use that road before the West Link was even open. So that's my comments, and I appreciate the board to take a look at that. Keep the road open or reopen the road for that fact.
All right, thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I'm Kim Shimpat, I live with Bill, on North 7th Street. We submitted the petition, so far we have between 70 and 80 signatures that are in favor of leaving the road open. That's in about 3 days of canvassing the neighborhood and people that use the road. I feel that public opinion is really for leaving it open. Why take out something and spend money to harm something that hasn't been a problem? We've lived there for 14 years and I haven't seen any major repairs on that road. It's not in disrepair. It's just sort of a projection that we might need to spend money in the future to repair something that isn't really a problem. By that logic, you would think that maybe it would be better to take out the longer fork. You know, if we have to spend more money in the future, it's going to require more money to repair that section of the road than the shorter fork. Thank you.
Thanks, Kim.
I'm Mike Doyle. I live at 2305 North 7th Street, which is just south of that closing. I've lived down that river road for 50 something years, and to me, to close it, I think you're gonna make a safety issue out of that corner, because I always take that road and I head east on it. If you go down to the turn and head east, or if you're turning to go back on North 7th Street, the new road is down below the hill. I think there's a safety factor there. I just don't understand why you guys maybe didn't do a traffic count. See how many cars use that road. Maybe you should table this and count the cars on that hill, because you get a lot more than you want. And you have a room full of people here who do not want to close. You have one person, I just don't get your reasoning why you guys, deciding to close this and then a week later dig it up. I mean, things happen, but this seems like it's happening very fast, and you got a lot of unhappy constituents in this room. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
I'm Dick Williams, 1811 10th Avenue North. And unlike everybody that's spoken already, I don't live down that area. I use that road recreationally for cycling, and I think it's just a much safer route than going down the West Fork. Thank you.
Thanks, Dick.
Kelly Hangman, 1230 17th Avenue North. I have several interviews. It's hard for me to hide my occupation because that's no big secret. I've talked to all of you electronically, but I did want to show up in case you had any questions with me. I don't like always communicating electronically. I will reiterate my concerns about safety. I'm not as concerned about the inconvenience of anything like that, but I am very concerned about the safety of it. It's certainly going to be more dangerous. I don't think there's a reasonable mind to really say it's not going to be. Westbound traffic trying to make a left turn back onto that roadway is simply hazardous. It wasn't designed for that function. It wasn't built for that function, and to make it something that it's not, I think, is dangerous. And I have 28 years of experience in people's safety, and I'm worried about that a lot. I'm also an avid cyclist myself. D14 was turned into a bike trail by this very body. They paved it that way, they signed it that way because they wanted us to use it to cycle on.
So we do. And asking bicyclists to make a left-hand turn there is even more hazardous than ever asking somebody in a motor vehicle to do that. So I hope you'll just spend some time thinking about the safety issue because it's critically important. I'm tasked with cleaning up those messes, and I prefer you didn't make one happen.
Thanks, Kelly.
My name's Steve Kirsten, live 1622 13th Avenue North. I join in all the comments made by everybody. I think there's a safety issue. Convenience I don't care about, but safety I do care about. But from a standpoint of a legal issue, the last couple days there's been a flurry of investigation as to who owns the land west of this closed vacated road. At first, the county thought they owned it. Then there was some evidence that the city owned it. Now I'm convinced that the county owns it. But there's an issue then as to whether or not there are restrictions on this road if it is vacated for use of a road. We've been looking to see how the county either got title to this road or got an easement for this road, and if there's any limiting language on the use of it if it's vacated as a road. The research that we've done shows that the city, for the purposes of the airport, bought a whole bunch of land to extend runway 246, and it included originally the west triangle, which is what we've seen on the diagrams. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. So that triangle west of this road that's being vacated was originally transferred by Tobin Farms to the airport, to the city. Then the city, for some reason in 1979, transferred it back to the county. I'd like to see the county put this on hold and find out really what the ownership interest is, what the limiting factors are, because I hate rumors, but I've heard rumors that we're already asking for bids to tear this road out. And I don't want the county tearing the road out if in fact the county doesn't have a right to do that. If in fact if they have use of this as a road by easement and they stop using it as a road, they don't have a right to take the road out, possibly. So what's the rush? I mean, it's not an unsafe road. Let's take our time, find out what in fact are the limiting factors on this road and whether or not the county has a right to tear the road out or not. I don't think they do based upon what I've seen, but I've had three different opinions the last 3 days. First I thought the city owned it until last night, and this morning I get a copy of the deed, and I think Mark shared it with you. There's some limiting language in that, and I agree with Merrill that the limiting language doesn't apply to this north-south road. It applies probably to the east-west road, but we still don't know if anybody here can tell me how the county get use of that road, that north-south road. Do you know if it's by deed or by easement? We don't know. And I think before you do anything to that road, you got to find out, because if it's not by deed, then there are limiting factors in how you proceed. So I'm just suggesting there's no rush. This thing's been there forever, and as long as everybody in this room's been alive, it's been used. So why are we rushing to tear it out? So I would say, let's put it on hold. I'd ask that at the next meeting you put it on the agenda to put this on hold. Stay your motion to vacate the road, conduct a thorough legal title search of the road, see if there are any limiting factors. And I'd also like you to consider Trooper Hyman's safety concerns. Perhaps we do a safety study. Why not hire an expert to do a safety study? Because I'd hate to see this road closed and then we have a fatality at that lone remaining access to D14. Safety should be the concern, as are the fiscal dollars of the county, but safety is more, to me, more important than preserving dollars. And you haven't spent anything on it in the last 18 years, I don't think.
No.
So, two things I ask for. Stay, put on hold your motion to vacate. Two, let's get a study on safety, and assuming that north-south road was closed, what are the safety concerns and ramifications of the remaining access and departure from D14. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Tom, here again. I would like to see the road open and put a traffic counter on there to take on both sides, on the east and west portion of the road, to see how much traffic actually travels that route, and determine that from there, along with what Mr. Kirsten had said. The traffic counter would give you the better report. I've never seen one of those traffic ropes or whatever it is that goes across the road on that section of roadway or the west section, to see how much traffic has traveled that route. That would be a good indicator in my opinion. And take a look at the votes, who all can vote, to look at the consensus of all the public people that do use that vote, or that road. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, if I could ask the county engineer on the spot, Randy, do you have anything that you might be able to offer to address the safety of the second newer intersection?
Yeah. Can talk about it briefly there. We did review with the intersections, both of them, and there's three types of site distance analyzed. They are stopping site distance, and decision site distance, and intersection site distance. And all were analyzed using the Iowa DOT Design Manual 6D1. And so stopping site distance, all the site distance for the vehicles approaching both intersections at 55 mile an hour are they meet all requirements. And the decision site distance, for the westbound, it does not quite meet, but then that's been mitigated by decision site distance when a car, when you're approaching the intersection, you got to make a decision, you can allow for. So that was mitigated back when many years ago when they put up a curb sign. Currently, there's two curb signs. If you go from east to west or west to east, there's a curb sign with a 45 advisory, and then there's there's also a side road sign at one of the side road ahead, and then in the opposite direction there's two 45 mile an hour advisory signs and two separate curb signs there. So that's how you mitigate anything that doesn't quite meet the full design criteria. We have that throughout the county. If it's a Duncan curves or whatever, when you don't meet the full speed limit, you don't necessarily put a speed limit at the site. You can mitigate it by doing some warning signs.
So are both access, there's three intersections. Are all three intersections deemed safe by DOT standards?
As long as they're mitigated with
Proper sign.
proper warning signs, that, as per the manual and uniform traffic rules, yes. One thing, if you want to make certain of the, with all the activity and the discussion about it, probably another more conservative measure would be to post a 45 mile an hour speed limit through the curves. That way, by law, everybody has to drive that. But what has been signed for numerous years and what we have continued to maintain is curve signs with advisory speeds, and then we do note the side of the side lane sign. And they're all basically probably the high intensity sheet, you know, we want to meet the reflectivity standards. So if you, for their mitigation to be to enlarge the signs or to implement a speed limit sign through there.
Moving on beyond that, the safety portion, then, if we look at the Old National Avenue section there, in your opinion, as a county engineer, how long do you see that section of road being able to move forward under usage without needing some major repair?
Yeah, there's some flexibility in that. The current condition is tolerable. I would think it'd be wise to consider some type of a surface maintenance, hot mix asphalt, a thin lift or something that could buy you a lot more years. You could do nothing, wait 10 more years, and after 10 more years, you'd have to do something a little more substantial. Or if you did something in the next few years, that could carry the quality of the road quite a few years longer. So, yeah, I don't think the issue is the condition of the road at this time. That's not, you know, the qualifying issue. Why? Because the road is on the fact that he considers to be vacated. But, again, I guess maintenance is always important with all roads. If you do some timely maintenance, and I mean timely is a key word, that you can extend the life of a lot of payments. So some money spent in the near, in a few years, like the remainder of National Avenue, we have an issue with the road slide that we've been addressing, but the remainder out in the city limits could use thin resurfacing, and I think that would prolong the higher, more expensive repairs that we just didn't do nothing for 10 years, let's say.
Mr. Will, I have a question for you. I understand that there may be a difference between gravel and hard surface, but does the county currently have some kind of established criteria for closing either one of the two roads?
Not necessarily any written criteria. I think we've over the years, I'd have to look this up, some of the roads that have previously been vacated had to do with, they were dead-end roads, and the land ownership was such that the landowner instigated the action. And that's usually the case if and when we vacate the road. It's usually the landowner brings it to the table. It's not always the case, but you know, most of the time that's the case. Because you gotta have at least the ability of the landowner or landowners. They have a right to file a claim for damages by the code, I believe. So you want them on board, I guess, and not have them object.
Is usage taken into consideration?
I'm sure it is, yes.
Randy, do you have any knowledge to how that road was acquired to address Mr. Kirsten's?
My assistant did the research, and concur with Mr. Kirsten that, yeah, I think for a while it was private property owner, and then it was city, and then the county's current owner. If we agree that the county owns the area highlighted in blue, I guess, if it's owned by easement or deed, I'm not sure. Usually, traditionally, all county roads, almost all county roads are owned by easement. Easement means that we have acquired them for highway purposes. The underlying owner is the adjacent property owner, but it's for highway purposes. The only time I'm aware that the county has, the exception would be if we had to condemn the land, then you get it by warranty deed. However, there's probably a few exceptions with Old Highway 20. That's a kind of an interesting combination of there's some of the highways have a deed, some of it's by easement. So, and then on the opposite thing, the Iowa DOT with their state highways, they own theirs by warranty deed. So 99+% of our roads are by easement. We have it for highway purposes. So when we do no longer need the road or choose to vacate the road, it reverts back to the adjacent landowners, how I understand it.
All right.
Hey, Mark, can I just ask a quick question? This all sort of came about as a request from an adjacent landowner. What?
Actually, it came about 3 years ago. Randy, actually longer than that, probably said about 4 years ago, Randy was looking at this road and some others.
But then you
At
did
the
receive a
time,
letter.
And then we did receive a letter.
So
to bring
what
it back.
was the intent of the letter? Was it a safety issue, or what? Why did the adjacent landowner?
I don't have the letter with me. Any landowner can petition to have a road closed, then it goes through the process.
But wouldn't they have a reason why?
I believe that was stated in the letter.
I don't have it.
I have it here, I'll read it.
Okay.
You would.
It's stamped by my office, February 1st, 2016, to Webster County Road Department. I would like to request that the hill road to the west of my property be closed. The road is starting to fall apart. In my opinion, there's a traffic hazard to vehicles turning onto the busy road with low visibility, both east and west. There is a main road connection only a short distance to the west with better visibility. There are no adjoining property accesses affected. Signed by Joanne Leffler, 2252 170th Street, Fort Dodge, Iowa.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have any other questions or comments for public?
Yes, I would like to know if the road, the Flanagan Road on the north of D14, is that county owned? Or is that vacated to the adjoining property owner?
That is county, under county jurisdiction.
So you still maintain that portion of road on the north
Yes.
side of D14?
And I guess I would believe the reason is otherwise the property owner would be landlocked. That's my quick answer to that. If the road that goes north and then there's a loop, that entire shaded area in my, is a county, it's a road under county jurisdiction.
I would still like to be able to have the county supervisors take a look at keeping that road open and doing a traffic study survey with the counter to see how much traffic does go through that road and how much it is being used versus abandoning it at this point. I think in all fairness to all the people, one of my friends from Dayton that just called me said he uses that road all the time when he leaves my place. It's just an extra, actually, instead of going through town and going through the traffic congestion in town, that's a much easier road to be able to take that little link there to go over to Menards or back over to the Badger Blacktop or North 15th, just to avoid that going through the Raywood Drive and all the various part of town where it's more congested. You should even look on north.
Real quick.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Good, but I ride a motorcycle, coming from the west, taking the first entrance there, that is almost continuously, up on your pointer, it's almost continuously, no, the other one, covered with, gravel. And coming on, there's no reason to slow down except at 45 miles an hour, until close there. But the danger of coming around that corner on the gravel with a motorcycle and possibly with bicycles is a small factor.
Thank you.
What's your name, Dr. Durst?
Okay.
Second?
I have one comment. Good evening. I appreciate Randy's thoughts on the safety issue, but since I don't know when was those issues taken, Randy? Was it last year or 10 years ago with your curves and your DOT safety requirements? Has the traffic on that road expanded? I know there's more semis going on. There's trucks feeding to the ethanol plant and the Cargill plant. I think that road is, the east-west road is used by a lot more trucks and a lot more traffic than it was, say, 10 years ago. If you tell us to put a curve sign in and put a 45 mile an hour, when you're around that curve, those trucks are gaining speed, they're not slowing down. You can put all the speed limits you want out there, they speed on North Seventh Street. The deputy sheriff speed on North Seventh Street. It's just a problem. And to tell me that you're gonna put a couple bigger curve signs up, a 45-mile-an-hour sign is not an acceptable reason. And we went through this about 10 years ago on 15th Street by Casey's and Kellen Johnson's. And the engineers were all against putting a stop sign up. And they finally came down to the point that said, the reason we don't have a stop sign up is because nobody's gotten killed there yet. And we stopped that, by the Board of Adjustment, we stopped, so we need to put a sign, a stop sign there. And literally there has been no wrecks on 15th Street, maybe a few, but 15th and what's that? By Casey's and
20th Avenue North.
20th Avenue North. That had stopped it. People were gonna get killed on that street because Orchard Glen was getting developed. This could have the same thing. People use that road more, they drive through. The curves are not, the curve signs to me is not a good answer for you guys. That's a terrible answer. We need to do a traffic study, we need to figure out, send the city car out and track the speed limit, come down the hill, I'll bet you 45-mile-an-hour is in the corner, so that's my short.
Since I brought up the safety thing, real quickly.
Technically, Ted was next.
All right, okay. I bet Ted will let me go, won't have the guardrail. I'm well aware of manual, and they're great. They're great for limiting liability to government entities that are responsible for signing those roads. I also know that if everybody followed the law, there'd never be a crash in Iowa. There'd never be a traffic crash anywhere, and I've been to thousands of them. So people don't obey the law, and a sign doesn't keep people alive. Okay? There's so much more that goes into it than simply trying to follow a manual. I wouldn't want to leave this podium without, Mr. Will has done great things in this county. We have saved lives on P-59 between our office and Fort Dodge because we put in rumble strips. Because we all got together and talked about it and worked it out. And all those things we've done, we spent a lot of time on them, getting them right. And here, you just ought to spend some time to get it right.
Ted?
Ted Huggins, 1900 North 30th Court, Fort Dodge. I'm a recreational bicyclist, and it just appears to me that there's an asymmetrical opposition here to the joy and excitement that we have in our community of establishing trails and access for bicycles and people, and to know that at a left turn and going down that hill to reach one of the most scenic parts of our community is such an easy thing for those recreationally inclined, and the safety does not seem to be a problem. But coming out D14 and passing those residences in the lane and then turning to the south and accessing River Road is just an excellent way, and it's enjoyable for our trail system. It was my hope that we could address this closure and rescind it so that it would open up, and traffic studies and what have you would be excellent for our whole community. But thank you all for addressing this, and I hope that you discuss it further.
Thanks, Ted.
You said the trail system is on D14, is it on both sides of the road or is it on one side? Or is it the whole road?
The road is actually,
The road is the
I
trail
want
system?
to clarify that, and I can stand here and say that we worked with the city of Fort Dodge to put paved shoulders on the road, and we also have worked with the bicycle community to put up share the road signs. The paved shoulders are not designated as trails or bike trails. Once again, it's in 2010, D14 was resurfaced from Highway 169 to P56, and we implemented paved shoulders, and we put up share the road signs. And we have share the road signs at various other locations throughout the county.
So if we made the south side of the road, the shoulder, the bike path, and not the north side, would that be detrimental to the bicyclists?
You don't want bikers to travel on the west, eastbound traffic.
I think, I don't think you want to do anything. I think the existing.
Sounds like the big thing is that left turn going into that, coming down that hill and turning left.
That's a huge thing.
I think the paved shoulders provide an opportunity for bicyclists to use the paved shoulder with traffic, with traffic in both directions. That probably was the main intent of the shoulder.
One more comment.
Sure.
We also are looking at opportunities to make roads better by adding rock in county roads and doing other things to prop up roads and make roads nice. And we all are experiencing roads that need attention. This road doesn't need attention. So are we really wanting to announce that we're going to tear up a perfectly good road that even by many standards is going to last for quite a while? So I just hope there's more consideration. Thanks.
All right. I apologize, we have a 10:50 drainage meeting, so if there are any other questions or comments?
I'd like to thank the public for coming and participating and giving us their input. It is appreciated.
We do appreciate it, because a lot of decisions get made that nobody comes to. So we do appreciate that. We've received and placed on file the petition, and I have asked Randy to, he is seeking bids, but we've asked to hold that until we have a chance to talk. So, all right. I appreciate that, and motion to allow claims.
So moved.
Second. Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And we have a 1050 Drainage District number 34, lateral A, to accept reclassification report and set time and date for hearing on said report. We'll grab